Hello everyone, this is Jamarl Thomas. Welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. So, Robert Reich, come on down. Look, I actually like Robert Reich. He's a good guy. He's a lefty through and through. Reich used to work in the Clinton administration, and he's come out with several books dealing with topics of income inequality and just economic unfairness in general. I like the guy. Ever since Donald Trump has gotten elected, though, he has gone, I don't want to say Looney Tunes, but extraordinarily inconsistent. So on Facebook today, Reich wrote, "Weirder and weirder, Trump apparently believes Putin's Russia is morally equivalent to America. In an interview to be aired tomorrow morning, Trump tells Bill O'Reilly that he respects Vladimir Putin. O'Reilly responds, but he's a killer. Trump replies, there are a lot of killers. You think our country's so innocent? If this doesn't bother Republicans, I'm not sure what will. What do you think?" Well, since you asked, on this one I actually think Trump's right. Not that Putin's a good guy. I have no illusions at all about Putin. I pretty much do assume Putin is a killer. But so are our presidents. I mean, look, we were running a torture gulag just off the coast in Cuba. Are you serious? Where's your moral consistency? That's the question. Like, I get you want to reflexively rebuff Trump at every turn, but where is your moral consistency? Alright, let's go down the line. Was it moral to attack Libya and turn that country into a smoldering ruin? How many people have died in that country from here on out? Was it moral to stand beside while Saudi Arabia just massacred people over and over again in Yemen, including kids, including hundreds of people at wedding parties? We stood by their side while they did this. Was that moral, Robert? What about being in, 66% of African nations with special forces? Is that moral? I mean, for the most part, they're kill squads. That's moral too? What about killing upwards of 1 million people in Iraq? A war of aggression. Was that also moral, Robert? I'm missing what you're talking about. Hey, let's go further. 1953, Iran. So this is foreignpolicy.com. And foreignpolicy.com reviews many of the countries that the United States toppled. Most of the time, they weren't toppling these places for moral reasons. They were toppling for corporate interests. Either they wanted to protect some kind of land asset for some company. They wanted to open up those countries for certain resources. Robert Reich, what the hell are you talking about? What are you talking about? I don't understand your moral high ground. I don't understand why you even think you have moral high ground. You realize that the CIA's deputy director, the one that was just installed, that Trump just chose, was the one who was in many respects one of a few people heading up the torture regime under the Bush administration. She is now the deputy director of the CIA. Is torture moral, Robert? And if our country has tortured people, in some cases tortured people to death, if our country has black sites where we detain them without any kind of trial or jury or anything else, they're just ferreted away into emptiness, just completely disappeared. How is that moral? I'm missing your argument here. I am fully missing your argument here. Nobody is making the case that Russia is a fair actor. Nobody is making the case that Putin is a good guy. What I am making the case is that no, we are not any better. We're not. I mean, I give you this. Many of the things that the United States did, the American public is wholly unaware. So when you write that, you're going to get some people who are like, oh man, that's crazy. Trump's crazy. Oh my God, blah, blah, blah. But I know you know better than that. Which means either that's a lie or maybe you don't know better than that. Maybe I'm giving you too much credit. Maybe your field is economics and history is not part of it. But this idea that we are somehow more moral, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. Let's go down the line. Iran, 1953. Despite continued speculation about the CIA's role in the 1949 coup to install a military government in Syria, The ouster of Iranian Prime Minister Mohammad Mossadegh is the earliest coup of the Cold War that the United States government has acknowledged. And mind you, when they deposed Mossadegh, they put in a brutal dictator. And they did it because Mossadegh was trying to take some of the assets from British Petroleum and spread it to the people of that country. Hey, how crazy is it to use the resources of a particular country to help the people of that particular country? Was that moral, Robert? All right, let's keep going. Guatemala, 1954. So, initially the United States was supportive of, what's the guy's name? Jacobo Arbenez. But he started to try to do some land deals that they were uncomfortable with. So, a coup in 1954 forced Arbenez from power, allowing a succession of juntas in his place. Classified details of the CIA involvement in the ouster of the Guatemalan leader, which included equipping rebels and paramilitary troops while the U.S. Navy blockaded the Guatemalan coast, came to light in 1990. Let's keep going. Congo, 1960. Patrice Lumumba, the first prime minister of Congo, was pushed out of office by Congolese President Joseph Kasavubu. Oh man, I'm mangling that name, I'm sorry. Amid the U.S. supported Belgian military intervention in the country, a violent effort to maintain Belgian business interests after the country's decolonialization. Is that moral? I mean, understand, they're not doing these things because they're protecting people. They're not doing these things because it's the right thing to do. They're doing these things to protect cash, financial interests. We were literally out there killing people and usurping people's right to determine how their own governments are arranged and how the resources of their countries are being spent. How, on what planet, is that moral? What are you talking about? I agree with you that Russia is not necessarily the picture of morality. But certainly you can't look down on them and say, yes, that country is immoral. How dare he compare the morality of America to Russia? Let's keep going. Maybe Robert finds something in this. Dominican Republic, 1961. The brutal dictatorship of Rafael Trujillo, which included the ethnic cleansing of thousands of Haitians in the Dominican Republic and the attempted assassination of President Venezuela, ended when he was ambushed and killed by armed political dissidents. Though the gunman who shot Trujillo maintained that nobody told me to go kill him, he did in fact have support of the CIA. The committee found that material support consisting of 3 pistols and 3 carbines was supplied to various dissidents. United States officials knew that the dissidents intended to overthrow Trujillo, probably by assassination. Are we still moral, Robert? Do we still have the moral high ground? Let's keep going. South Vietnam, 1963. According to the Pentagon Papers, on August 23, 1963, South Vietnamese generals plotting a coup contacted U.S. officials about their plan. For the military coup d'etat against Neo Diem, the United States must accept full responsibility, the Pentagon Papers state. Beginning in August of 1963, we variously authorized, sanctioned, and encouraged the coup efforts of the Vietnamese generals and offered full support for a successor government. We maintained clandestine contact with them throughout planning and execution of the coup. Do you know how many people died during all of this? Keep it moving. Brazil. At which point, Robert, does our moral high ground degrade to the point where you could say, okay, fair enough, we don't have moral standing? Because look, I can keep going. Brazil, 1964. Fearing that the government of Brazil President João Goulart would, in words of U.S. Ambassador Lincoln Gordon, make Brazil the China of 1960s, the United States backed the 1964 coup led by Humberto Castelo Branco, then chief of staff at the Brazilian army. In the days leading up to the coup, the CIA encouraged street rallies against the government and provided fuel and, quote-unquote, arms for non-U.S. origin to those backing the military. I think we ought to take every step that we can, be prepared to do everything we need to do, President Lyndon Johnson told his advisors planning the coup, according to the declassified government records obtained by the National Security Archive. Democrat and Republican presidents. So you can't just say it's them. What are you talking about? You get that we killed thousands of people in this garbage, and the only thing we were doing it for was cash. Do you get that? How on earth is that a moral high ground? How are you thumbing your nose at another country, at any other country? Right now, we have people drinking water contaminated by lead, while the United States spends trillions of dollars on upgrading their nuclear arsenal. We spend $1 trillion a year. We're giving banks, like $16 trillion over the past 8 years. We have people drinking water laced with lead. How on earth is that a moral high ground? I don't understand what you're saying right now. Robert, I like you. And I suspect when Trump leaves office, you're going to regain your sanity. But I don't remember hearing any of the stuff when Obama was in office, drone striking civilians and killing thousands of civilians. Let's take it back further. One last point. The original sin. Now, I know a lot of people will say, well, the original sin was slavery. No. The original sin was the massacre and the genocide of the Native Americans that were already here when whites started just tearing a trail of murder from one end of the coast to the other. Then the next sin, slavery. What I'm missing here, what I'm fundamentally missing here, is how you are evaluating these things and how you're saying, yeah, well, we of course have the moral high ground over who? Over Russia? Why do you believe that? What is it in our recent history, in our past history, gives you that idea that we have some kind of moral high ground? I know you want to use this to attack Donald Trump. There are 1,000 things to attack Donald Trump on. This is not one of them. You keep wanting to attack Russia because you keep thinking red baiting is going to help your side out. It's not. It's not helping your side out at all. Tighten up, Robert. I don't know what you're talking about, and I think you're being extraordinarily morally inconsistent in the way you're evaluating things that ended in murder. Us causing it. Those refugees that are streaming into all those other countries, into Europe, that are trying to come here. Why do you think those refugees are leaving those countries? We attacked a country, killed upwards of 1 million people. Those people went streaming into other countries. We destroyed Libya. Those people went streaming into other countries. We even was undermining Syria. We had special forces in Syria. At the same time Obama saying there's no troops on the ground, no boots on the ground. He was having secret missions going into Syria to try to undermine that government. Many of the people who are there now, we're paying violent killer terrorist groups. I fundamentally miss what you mean by moral high ground. And I fundamentally, completely miss why do you think we have it in spades and they don't. I think the more honest approach, or the more honest opinion, is none of us have a moral high ground. All of us have fallen short of the things that we espouse. Now you can make a case that Russia never espoused those things, but to some degree that's even worse. Because our values, the things that we say we believe in, the things that we say we care about, are not the things that we actually affect on the world. And whereas Americans have this, fairy tale belief in American exceptionalism, the rest of the world is not that stupid. Yes, you can score some political points for your democratic status quo friends, but progressives aren't going to believe it. Trump supporters, they may or may not believe it, I don't know. Whether they believe it or not has nothing to do with the accuracy and the truth of what you're saying. And it is without accuracy, without truth, and without any moral honesty or consistency at all. Alright guys, thank you.